Patty, thank you so much for joining me today for the League of Goddesses Spotlight interview. I am so excited to introduce you to all the amazing goddesses so that they can get to know you better.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. Oh, of course. So real quick, I'll just tell you, the questions in the beginning are going to go by super fast. They're just little bullet point questions. And then as we progress, they'll get a little bit more deeper and intimate. Okay?
Awesome. Sounds
Lovely. Good. Okay, so my first question is, do you have any nicknames?
Well, I have a bunch, but I would say that my family always uses my full name, which is Patricia. I'm named after my grandmother. If and when they need to get my attention in a crowded room.
That's what they say.
I go by Patty.
So which one do you prefer, Patricia or Patty?
Yeah, I do. Yep. But if you really need my attention, call me Patricia.
Okay, what? I love it. Okay, when is your birthday?
It's July 3rd, so the day before Independence Day.
So you can just say that all those fireworks are for you. You're just like,
yeah,
those are for me.
Exactly what my parents used to do when I was little, yeah.
Oh, super sweet. Okay, what is your favorite color?
It is seafoam green.
Beautiful. I love how detailed you're like, seafoam. That's actually a really, really pretty color. Does it look good on you?
I think it does. Yeah, I have green eyes, so I just gravitate towards ocean type colors like corals, blues, greens. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, seafoam green. And are you a coffee or a tea girl?
I've been on decaf since I did a race 5 years ago, so decaf Americano is my go-to.
I love it. I do the Americanos as well. And every once in a while, decaf too. Because I don't know how you are, but I'm definitely a coffee drinker. I'll do it all day.
Yeah.
So you have to switch to decaf or you'll be up all night.
Yeah.
Okay. This question is always very interesting for me. If you could only pick one, would it be blog, podcast, or book?
So I'm a writer, so I'm going to have to say a book. I work in digital. I love digital media, but book, like a hard copy of something I can turn.
I have to agree with you there. There's something, and I might just be a complete weirdo, but I like to smell books.
Yeah, you're not
like, they smell so good.
Yeah, they do.
I always feel weird after I do it. Like, I wonder if my husband saw me do that. But I don't know. It's a thing. I'm just like you. There's something about holding it in your hands. And I guess maybe, and I don't know how you feel about this, and I'm very curious because you're a writer, you don't often get to hold knowledge, right? How else can you hold knowledge? And so for me, I'm just like, this is knowledge. This can help me grow. And it's just something that I love. So.
Right. Yep.
Books are awesome. Okay. So tell me then, what is your favorite book of all time? Like the ultimate.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with a children's book. It's Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. I'm sure a lot of you guys have read it. But it's just my favorite. My mom bought me a copy for the 50th anniversary edition. And I love the character Max, like his badass approach, and I sort of embody Max in my masculine side of my personality. Like, I'm not going to do what I'm told. I'm going to, be a little bit of a rebel. Yeah. And then he comes home at the end of the day. So
I love it. I don't think I've read that one, but now I'm going to have to.
Yeah. Where the Wild Things Are. It's awesome.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. And then this might be the same, but maybe not. Can you tell me what your favorite book is currently? Like maybe when you're reading?
Yeah, so being a writer, I read about 13 books at a time, but the one that I am thinking about the most is The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. And Oprah Winfrey found him. He just knows all this intelligent knowledge. He was like a guy in a cabin who wrote about soul and soul connection and authentic power and kind of the illusion that we live in and all sorts of things like that. And so she was like, will you come on my show, my broadcast TV show? Like, this is back in the 80s. And he was like, what's broadcast TV? And so, yeah, so I love the way he looks at connections and like deepening your intuition and finding your spiritual sort of soul calling life purpose path, which for me is deeply tied to my career and what I do.
Oh, nice. I'm going to have to check into that. I love these interviews because I get so many good book recommendations. It always makes me super happy. Oh, you have it right there. I love it.
Yeah, it's in my book bag of like $1 million. So nice. I really recommend if you're, discerning anything really, like from who you are to what you want to do.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for that. Okay, so my next question is, can you tell me about your business?
Yeah, so I own my own media company. It's called Hodapp Media, and I write, edit, create content mostly in the digital space for health, fitness, wellness, big brands. So some of my biggest clients are like Reebok, Spartan Race, Outside Magazine. I write occasionally for the New York Times. There's all kinds of different things that I do. So I was in corporate publishing for about 10 years after I graduated college, and I actually like work. Do you know Shape magazine? It's a women's
Yes.
health fitness. Yeah. So when I was in college, I had this job with them that they didn't know I was in college. And, anyways, I'm not going to tell you my whole life story, but it worked out great. And I was on staff for them at the same time as I was finishing my degree. And so I was in big magazines for a really long time, got sick of the corporate stuff, and now I do it for myself. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Phenomenal. I have so much admiration for writers because it is not my strong point at all. I'm like, oh, I think if I had like endless time, I would love to learn about it and maybe improve, but I know no matter what, it's not my natural gift, right? And
Yeah.
so I just admire you guys. Like I always want to pick your brains because I'm like, what kind of magic's going on in there? And how do you see the world and like interpret it in those beautiful ways? And does it come naturally? Does it just like, oh,
You
like,
know, Yeah, I mean, I read a quote once years ago that was like, you have, in order to write about life, you have to live it. You have to live life and experience it to write about it. And so I think you're right. Like there's some sort of processing intellectual side that happens, but then also experiential.
hmm,
And yeah. Yeah,
beautiful.
curiosity, wanting to meet people and figure out what they're all about. Kind of exactly like what you're doing, really, to a T.
Oh,
Um, you know,
except you can turn it into something pretty that others can read. And I'm like, can you watch the video?
Same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
content creation. Yeah, I love
different one. Beautiful. Okay, so then tell me, and I feel like maybe this is it, but what is your bliss?
So actually, so my bliss is I grew up abroad. My parents are both college professors. So connecting with nature and traveling is huge for me. So my bliss lately living in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains is, trail running, hiking, fly fishing, snowboarding with my pup, and just feeling sort of supported by the earth. I get my deepest intuitional downloads out there. So I really like to be away from my desk. As much as I love what I do, that's equally as an important part of my creative process. So
Oh,
it's sort of blend.
beautiful. It's very intriguing to me as I do these interviews, how often I hear women say that being out in nature is what does it for them. Because for me too, and we all have such different walks of life. I'm like, please let me go hike because that's where I'm going to feel my best. I feel invigorated and connected and mostly awed,
Yeah.
usually through the whole experience. I'm like, you could put me in a jewelry store or you could put me in, nature, and I'm going to be more awed by what I see in nature than what I see in a jewelry store, which I don't think most people think about it that way. They see somebody dressed up and working and they're like, oh, they're superficial or whatever it is. And it's like, no, man, that seems to be where most women feel very connected with themselves. So I
Yeah.
love that. Nice. Okay, so now can you tell me, why did you join the League of Goddesses?
Yeah, so I joined because one of my best, dearest friends, Victoria, was like, there's this awesome network of amazing, badass women, and you have to be in it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started checking it out. And the more I learned, and, I'm a new member as of a couple of weeks ago, but it's really, so it's an evolving journey for me. But I think connecting with awesome women who are in a non competitive space who can support and honor and nurture each other in our own journeys and kind of provide both that sort of spiritual wisdom that comes with making really smart career decisions and and also just like the excitement and the fun, like finding the passion around what you do. I'm so passionate about what I do, and so I know that there's other women out there like that, but you probably feel like this. A lot of people, maybe some of your friends are like, oh, I hate my job, or this sucks, and it's like life doesn't have to be like that. You can do what you're called to do. So being a part of a community of women who are all pursuing that in some way, shape, or form is really exciting to me.
I love it. I feel like you hit the nail on the head of what I was trying to create there because you're right. It's like you can do something you love and then you can meet other women who are doing something that they love. And there's just a different vibrational feeling to me that those women that are attaining their dreams and pursuing them and growing put out. So to be able to be exposed to those women in one click, you're just like, oh, I know where to find those. That's where you go. So that makes me really happy. Can you tell me, what do you hope to attain from the badass women in the League of Goddesses?
Yeah, I would love to hear more of their stories, like how they got as a journalist, as a writer. I'm just really interested in how people got to where they are today and what that journey looked like. And so for me, that's what sets me on fire. Like I love to kind of figure out why they do what they do and how they got there. And, often in the journey to, entrepreneurship or something, there's many, many roadblocks that come in and hard things. So I think kind of connecting with some of that deeper power, like overcoming obstacles and what those look like for them. And maybe even currently, as we navigate this pandemic and run small businesses or large businesses or whatever, leaving corporate or staying in corporate. I'm just interested in people's journeys and how and why they do what they do.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think it is so intriguing and interesting because if you can see an example, then normally you can pull some type of wisdom to help apply with where you are, because we're always, growing and moving. And I think if it becomes easy, then their growth has slowed. So, or at least for me, I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to do easy. I want to climb Mount Everest. Like, right.
Right.
So that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is, what do you wish to contribute to the League? How can you help?
Yeah, I was thinking about this one. I think specifically and tangibly as an established writer, if there are other, women writers out there who are sort of budding and getting into the process of pitching or ideation or something, I would love to, jump on a call with anybody who needs help thinking through ideas and vice versa, because I have a million of my own as well. So connecting with other writers specifically in a service way, I can certainly help and bring my skill set that way. And then as, just on a deeper community level, I would love to, join more of these groups, especially now more than ever, we're kind of alone and stuck inside. And I think it's really important to have an inner circle of support that's not, necessarily family, local friends, but like keeping me plugged in into the excitement and passion around the career. So it's not the daily slog.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And I know that there are some other writers in the League. And I think you might have even connected with Kim. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So beautiful. I think that you'll really enjoy that. And that is an awesome gift as we, bring in more members to be able to find other people that are on that same journey as you and might be able to offer some light and shed some new perspective on something they might be going through. So thank you for that. Okay, so my next question is, who is important in your life?
In my life, okay. So I'm a dog mom. Rue is my best. She's a little Rhodesian Ridgeback Vizsla mix. She's my best teacher in life. But I would say my family, I call them the Fab Five. My parents, I'm the oldest of four, so my sister and two brothers, but we're all like really close in age. So those guys without a doubt. And then I just, my friends, my yoga students, I teach here locally just occasionally once a week or something like that for fun. And I love connecting with my students in the classroom. And yeah, so I have a lot. And then growing up abroad and then living abroad, spending much of my 20s in Spain and Puerto Rico, I have many international friends. And so I keep in touch with them as well. And thank God for this digital age to be able to do that.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it, like, whoa, 20 years ago, there was none of this. And now we just have it opens the entire world to communication and friendships, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is phenomenal. I'm curious, how do you keep those relationships budding and going since maybe you used to take trips over there and now you can't do that?
Right. Yeah. So WhatsApp video has been huge this year for sure. We have WhatsApp threads and Facebook Messenger also helps. And I find myself, keeping these relationships, it's so organic. Like I find in life, the ones that aren't meant to be always fall away. And, less is always more with friends for sure. Quality, not quantity. So we just find each other every 6 months or so and check in and video as much as possible. And it's really neat to see like friends from 10 years ago and how they've evolved and I've evolved and we've somehow maintained this relationship. It's bizarre.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
like it. Okay, can you tell me, and this question can be taken either way. Can you tell me what dream you have made come true? And it could be a dream of yours or maybe a dream of someone else's that you helped bring to fruition.
Okay. I'm going to go with the biggest one in my life. So when I left corporate, I decided that, I was just done with the administration stuff there. And before I started the business, I went and hiked the Camino de Santiago, which is a long trail across Spain. It's like, I think I hiked like 1,000 kilometers or something. So it took me over a month. And it was my biggest through hike. I'm really adventurous, so I do a lot of them anyway, but it was the longest one, the hardest, most joyful suffering I've ever done. And I walked out of that trail with some of the best friends of my whole life and never feeling more like myself. So that was huge. Yeah. And I was
That is on my bucket list. So hearing you say it, I'm like, oh my God, awesome.
highly, highly recommend it. Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. Oh yeah, that is a big dream. I'm like, that's a big one because you have to sacrifice the time too. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to do both. Wow, lovely. Okay, can you tell me what does your heart most desire at this time?
At this time, I'm going to say freedom, freedom. And I find it every day in some way, shape, or form, whether it's being outside, but just the pandemic and, everything. I think freedom is one of my core values. And so feeling a little bit more constricted than I'm used to, freedom to travel, freedom to. So I'm doing a lot in meditation and I'm traveling a lot in my mind and books and things like that.
But I think that we're all having to resort to that. And it's good. I mean, it's a good exercise, right? Because
Yeah.
normally, yeah, you would just jump on a plane and go. And it's definitely been an intriguing year, to say
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question, it's one of my favorite. If you were not Patty and you were introducing or talking about Patty to another girlfriend, how would you describe her?
That's a good one. Let's see. I would say kind and compassionate, caring, but I also have this very deeply philosophical sort of self-inquiry side that's rooted in my own groundedness and background. So curious, adventurous, not afraid to take risks, and I certainly pursue my passions. So without fear, I take risks.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
lots of fun. Oh my gosh, she sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I love Victoria, because we're so alike in so many ways. And then she mirrors back to me, ways that I can grow. Or, I mean, I'm sure all of you guys will get a chance to meet Victoria. She's lovely, the community manager.
Yes.
But yeah, getting women in your life like that who are kind of on par and vibrationally with you is huge.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. It's so funny that you say that that's the reason that you were attracted to her because you guys are so similar and you mirror each other. And I am so attracted to her for the exact opposite because she's like the yin to my yang. And when I met her in person, I was just like instantly, oh my gosh, I love this woman. Like, I don't know what you're doing or like it's so different than me, but it was showing me what I needed to work on. And she didn't even have to say anything. I'm just listening to her and I'm like, wow, I admire that so much, her peace and her ability to just see and then to ask the right questions to help someone come out and realize without just being like, well, here it is, right? She doesn't ever say that. She's never like, there it is. So it's so unique to see why people enjoy other people's company, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so this question is one that can be a little bit harder, but I feel like you probably have a great answer. What vision do you have for the future of humanity?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot this year. I would like to see a deeper connection with our collective consciousness. And I think that starts on an individual basis. So asking our own selves the really hard questions about who am I and why am I here? Those kind of two fundamental soul purpose questions in life. And once we do that work, I'm noticing that the collective consciousness is rising. So my relationships in life, especially this year, are becoming deeper. Things are falling away that aren't working. Things are staying and then coming in that are. So I would love to see in short, a deeper, more authentic connection with collective conscious, every down to the granular, like the post office lady. I saw some guy yell at her the other day over something so silly, and I was just like, dude, why don't you just be in your body for a moment and like take a breath and treat her with the respect that she deserves? And there's a lot of that going on in our, politics, in our socioeconomic, like racial conversations that are very important, female masculine conversations in the workplace. So if everybody were to do their own work, I think everything would get better. And that's what I hope.
Oh, that's beautiful. I feel like in this unique time that we find ourselves in, you are seeing a deeper like concentration on, hey, how do I work on my inner self? And then on the opposite, you're seeing more of what you were describing at the post office. I see it so much more than I ever used to see it before, that people are stressed and just like at the edge instantly. And it's very unique to see. It's like the gap is becoming wider. It's intriguing to me to observe that. Does that ring true to you too?
Yes. Yeah. I'm noticing people are either reactive or active, and reaction is not action, to your point.
Yeah. Wow. Intriguing. It's the whole scenario to me. I'm like, wow. I mean, you can look at the bad of it or you can look at the good. And to me, I'm very intrigued by the whole scenario and just seeing how humans navigate, right? Because we really control so little. And this has definitely shown us that. So fun. Yeah. Fun to see that, right? Okay, so now tell me, how does your vision of what you would like to see come, to fruition, how does that affect your decision making?
Yeah, so, well, certainly in my day-to-day, personal and career life, I drop into my physical body to make decisions from an intuitive standpoint. And since I really started this practice about a year and a half ago, I've not gone wrong. And I'm talking dating life all the way to, should I take this contract or not? And I feel into myself what is true for me. And then without fear, but with purpose and intention, I move forward. And that was different than how I was maybe operating in my 20s or something like that, where I was more probably reactive and finding my feet. And, especially in the men's magazines and stuff, as a woman, like coming and finding my own voice. So that, all that said, I think that continued connection to our home, like our physical body and our presence in this very present moment. There's no future or past, but we're here now. So I'm with you chatting and I'm so here. I think that being in the present opens up a lot of opportunity for healing and growth and options to not be so reactive as opposed to active. So the more I practice my own mindfulness, whether it's washing dishes or being really present for a 5-minute hot shower, it's those little things add up amazing. And you don't have to sit and meditate for 20 minutes every day to make it happen. You can be present as you write an email,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very much. I do know. I feel you. Okay. And I have to practice it really hard, but I enjoy it. I'm just like, you know what? It's a practice and I just want to keep practicing because it's probably one of the few things in my life that I realized I enjoy this practice. I'm not looking for the end goal. I'm looking for this one moment. So
yeah, that's why you would love the Camino. It's very much that in action. You can't walk to Santiago like you can walk today.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I'm so excited for that. Someday. Okay. Now tell me, how have you implemented actions into your business to help create this vision that you want for the world?
Mm-hmm. Good one. So personally, my morning routine is very sacred to me. Before I check email or even look at the phone, I go to my meditation pillow, light, sage, whatever, and spend at least 5 to 20 minutes dropping in and centering and grounding. And then that allows me to make my business day is completely different than if I skip a day of that. So morning routines is huge. And then active stuff. So trail running, connecting with nature, like I said earlier, getting my creative process all on board, reading a good piece of fiction. I'm not a fiction writer yet. Reading a really good piece of fiction and doing other things that are not necessarily tied to my business somehow make the abundance of my business just grow so much more. And I'm doing this really important, amazing work. I write for Reebok on health and wellness, and we're talking about tough topics like that matter, especially to women. And so I think in doing all of that and taking really good self-care for myself, I'm able to be more present and focus on some of the stories that really should be told, as opposed to like, you know, some writers just make money and they'll take jobs and it's all about the bottom line. And that's not at all what I'm about. I'm like, is every single story I'm telling going to matter to the audience, and how and why? Because it should be a service-oriented profession, really. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You care about the consciousness level of where that writing is coming in at, is what
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about the dollars. And I don't even worry about money. And honestly, I've been doing this 2.5 years and I don't know where my income is coming from in January, for example, but it just flows in. I mean, I have these retainer contracts and stuff at this point, but like ultimately, surrendering to the process and letting go and trusting that I'm where I should be. It's like, I'm too busy. I almost have to hire someone at this point.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. That's lovely.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our conversation, Patty, and I am at my last question, which is also one of my favorites. I think I have a few favorites in this process, but this one I'm always really curious about. If you could share just one piece of advice or a tip that has been given to you that just rocked your world, what would it be?
A good one. So I'll circle back to the beginning of our conversation. I mentioned I'm named after my grandmother, Patricia, and she is who I want to be when I grow up. She's amazing. And she told me ever since I was a little girl, listen to the spirit within. And I think that there's real wisdom in that. And I've unpeeled the layers and unpacked that throughout my whole life in many, many ways. Listening to the spirit within, which takes, you know, work, like we're talking about, this very mindful, very sometimes having hard conversations with yourself. Am I in the right marriage? Am I in the right job? Am I, you know, and being okay with the feelings that surface. So ever since when I follow that and when I listen to the spirit within, all of my decisions are seamless and there's abundance. When I don't, then I take these little life, you know, maybe a job here that wasn't quite great, and then I end up leaving in a year or something like that. So I don't know if that
I
helps.
love it. I haven't heard it put that way before, I don't think, but I love it and that resonates. Thank you for sharing that. And especially because it was from your grandmother. Super sweet. Oh, well, Patty, I appreciate your time so much. And I am so excited to introduce you to all the ladies within the league. I know that they're going to be excited to build a friendship with you. It was lovely to get to know you better.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, me too.
Continue plugging in and yeah.